I want to tell you a story. A story about pain, about betrayal, and about how sometimes the people you trust most can be the ones who cut you the deepest. But also, it's about strength, love, and a promise I made to my little boy. For 7 long months, I had been saving every single dollar. Every overtime shift, every tired night, every small thing I denied myself, it was all for one reason. I skipped coffee. I walked past stores without stopping. Every time I saw something I wanted, I whispered to myself, no, this is for Liam. Liam is my son. He's 8 years old, and he has the brightest smile you'll ever see. But his wheelchair was too small, too broken, and it hurt him to sit in it. His therapist told me that the longer he stayed in that chair, the more pain he would feel in his body. My heart broke when I heard that. I promised her, and I promised Liam, I'll get you a new one. A chair that fits you. A chair that makes you feel free. Every day, that promise pushed me. Then one morning, I logged into my savings account. I just wanted to see the progress. For the first time in months, I smiled big. The number was there. Enough for the new chair. Enough for the accessories Liam dreamed about, the ones with the shiny blue rims that made him feel like he was driving a race car. But then, my smile vanished. My stomach dropped. The balance wasn't just lower, it was gone. My account was empty. At first, I thought it was a mistake. My hands shook as I called the bank. A woman on the line spoke calmly, but her words cut through me like knives. The money wasn't lost. It wasn't stolen by a stranger. It had been transferred yesterday. To my mother's account. I couldn't even put on my shoes. I just grabbed my keys and drove. My heart pounded like thunder in my ears. When I opened the door to my parents' house, the smell of cake hit me. Balloons floated, music blasted, and people were laughing. In the center of it all, my sister Mary stood in a glittering dress, posing for photos. There was a giant golden 26 balloon behind her. It was her birthday. And my money, Liam's money, had paid for it. My mom spotted me and smiled, like I had come to celebrate. She raised her glass and said, "You're just in time for the toast." I didn't move. I didn't smile. I looked her in the eye and asked, "Where's my money?" She didn't even blink. She waved her hand like it was nothing. Oh, that. We needed a little extra for Mary's big day. You know how important this is for her. My dad stepped forward, his arm around Mary's shoulders. "Don't be dramatic," he said. "It's not like it was for anything urgent." My throat tightened. My voice cracked as I whispered, "It was for Liam's wheelchair." Mary rolled her eyes. "At least I can dance," she said with a smirk. "He can't even walk. So what's the rush?" And then, they laughed. Not the guests. Not strangers. My parents. My own family. They laughed like it was a joke. I stared at my mom, waiting for her to take it back. Waiting for her to remember she was supposed to protect me, protect Liam. But instead, she leaned closer and said, "You'll get more money. You always do." This was just family priority. I whispered, "You stole from your own grandson." Her eyes narrowed. "Don't act like you're better than all of us. Without family, you're nothing." And then my dad lifted his glass high. "She's the one worth celebrating," he said, nodding at Mary. Not someone raising a cripple and expecting the world to clap for it. I could barely breathe. My chest ached. But I forced myself not to cry. If I cried, they'd win. So I turned and walked out. Mary's laughter followed me all the way to the car. When I got home, Liam was in the living room, playing with his toy cars. He looked up, his eyes lighting up with hope. "Did we get it?" he asked. I knelt beside him and forced a smile. "Not yet, buddy. But we will." That night, after he was asleep, I sat at the kitchen table. My savings account was empty. My heart was broken. But my mind was sharper than it had ever been. I replayed every word my parents said. Every sneer. Every cruel laugh. And something inside me hardened. I wasn't just going to get Liam his wheelchair. I was going to make them regret ever touching a cent of that money. They thought they had humiliated me. What they didn't realize is that they had just given me the perfect reason to destroy everything they valued. So I opened my notebook and started writing. Names. Dates. Habits. Weaknesses. Every single thing I could use. Because my parents never taught me how to forgive. But they taught me plenty about revenge. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. I didn't need an alarm. My body was awake, my mind sharp, my heart steady. The anger I felt the night before had turned into something different. Not wildfire. Not chaos. Something colder, sharper, like a blade. I made Liam his breakfast, poured his cereal, and helped him pack his bag. He was smiling, talking about school, about how he wanted to race his toy cars with his friends at recess. I kissed his head before the bus came. His little hand waved at me from the window as the bus drove away. And then I opened my notebook. On the first page was my list. It wasn't just a list. It was a map. A map straight to the heart of everything my parents valued. You see, I knew them. I knew what mattered most to them. Not love. Not loyalty. Not family. They cared about image. They cared about reputation. They cared about people in the community saying, "Oh, what a wonderful family they are." They had spent decades building this mask. They donated to charities. They hosted galas. They smiled in pictures for the newspaper. They painted themselves as saints. But I knew the truth. Behind the paint, the wall was rotting. And I was about to tear it down. I started with Mary. My sister loved one thing more than anything: attention. She wanted people to envy her. She wanted people to clap for her. She wanted to be seen as special. She had been bragging for weeks about her big audition for a dance company in New York. She told anyone who would listen. She dropped hints. She posted videos of herself twirling, smiling, pretending she was already famous. But I knew Mary. She didn't work hard. She cut corners. She lied to make herself look bigger than she was. If I could pull the floor from under her, she'd drag my parents down with her. So I began small. I made a fake account, a burner. I followed her online. I left little comments, just vague enough to make her think someone important was watching. I sent her a fake email from a talent coordinator, asking for documents I knew she couldn't prepare, a full dance resume, references, proof of competition wins. She didn't have any of it. She never had. While she chased shadows, I turned to my parents' pride, the annual charity dinner. This event was their crown jewel. Hosting it was like standing on stage in front of the whole town, saying, "Look at us. We are respectable. We are generous. We are admired." Every handshake turned into favors. Every smile turned into power. If this dinner went wrong, it wouldn't just embarrass them. It would stain them. It would follow them for years. So I began collecting receipts. Real ones. Invoices they never paid. Bank records showing donations that ended up in Mary's account. Screenshots of texts where my mom bragged about using charity money to redecorate her kitchen. None of it would put them in jail. But it would burn their image to the ground. And I wasn't going to post it online. No. That would be too easy. Too cold. I wanted it personal. I wanted the people who mattered most to them to see it with their own eyes. So I made packets. Neat, tidy packets, signed only with a concerned donor. I mailed them to the biggest sponsors. They'd arrive the day before the dinner, enough time to read, not enough time for my parents to hide. Meanwhile, I played my part. When I saw my parents at the store, I smiled politely. When Mary bragged about her big break, I nodded and said, "That's amazing." When my mom hinted I could make it up to the family by volunteering at the dinner, I agreed without hesitation. Because that's exactly where I wanted to be. A front row seat to their downfall. The day before the dinner, Mary was already cracking. She got the follow-up email from her talent coordinator. They wanted her resume, her references, her proof of wins. She had none of it. She panicked. She cried. She yelled about the cruel industry. My parents comforted her, but I saw it in her eyes. She knew she was slipping. That night, while they fussed over her, I slipped into my dad's office. On his desk was the guest list. The powerful people, the sponsors, the names that held weight in town. I took a photo. Now I knew exactly who would be in the room when the walls came crashing down. By the time I closed my notebook, I realized something. This wasn't about the money anymore. It wasn't even about the wheelchair, though by then, I had already found a grant that would cover it. This was about something deeper. This was about making them feel small. Making them watch their perfect reflection shatter. The night of the dinner, the house buzzed like a stage backstage. Mary wore sequins, trying to look strong. My mom barked orders at caterers while pretending to be gracious. My dad stood in the mirror fixing his tie like he was about to meet the president. I put on a plain black dress. Nothing fancy. Something that let me blend in with the servers. Invisible, but everywhere. The venue glittered with chandeliers. White tablecloths. Golden place cards. Guests arrived in waves, business leaders, donors, people my parents bowed down to. My dad shook their hands, smiling with both hands like they were his best friends. My mom introduced Mary as our shining star. I stayed on the edges. Refilling glasses. Watching. Waiting. Then it happened. The first sponsor pulled out the packet. His eyes flicked from the papers to my parents, then back again. His jaw tightened. Across the room, another couple whispered, one pointing toward Mary. My mom thought they were admiring her. She smiled wider. She had no idea. Dinner reached halfway. Then, like a drumbeat, came the first crack. Mr. Harlan, the biggest donor, stood up. No applause. No smile. Just silence. Before I commit another dollar. He said, his voice heavy, I want to know where my last donations went. The room froze. My dad's fork hovered mid-air. My mom's smile broke. I assure you, every cent. My dad began. But Mr. Harlan lifted the packet. This says otherwise. Rustling filled the room. More packets came out of handbags and jackets. Whispers spread like fire. They used charity money for themselves. Faces turned. Eyes burned. My dad's face went pale. Mary jumped up, ready to defend. But another voice cut her down. Is this the same Mary taking loans under other people's credit cards? Gasps. Heads turned. Whispers turned into accusations. Mary's face crumbled. She looked at me. She knew. She knew I was the shadow behind all of it. My mom raised her hands. This is all a misunderstanding, she said, laughing weakly. No one laughed with her. People began leaving their seats, shaking their head. Phones came out. Flashes lit my parents' pale faces. That was my moment. I stepped forward, out of the shadows. Silent. Calm. I walked to the stage, reached into my bag, and pulled out an envelope. I handed it to my mother. Inside was a receipt. A receipt for Liam's new wheelchair. Paid in full. by a donor they had tried to impress for years. Under it, one sentence. At least he can move forward. Can you? My mom's lips parted. No words came. My dad's hands shook as he stared at the paper. Mary's mascara streaked down her face. I didn't wait. I turned and walked out. The whispers followed me like a tide. Outside, the air was cool. Sharp. Clean. Later that night, as I pulled into my driveway, I saw the delivery van. And under the porch light, gleaming like a promise, was Liam's new wheelchair. He was already in it. Spinning in slow, happy circles. His laughter rang through the night like music. I crouched down and hugged him. His arms wrapped around my neck. Behind me, in the dark, I could almost hear it, the silence of people who had lost the one thing they could never take back. Please like and subscribe for more videos, also comment where you're watching from.